So team, welcome back to our day 2 for Code Java. And we're going to be focusing a lot in terms of the additional things that we will take our journey into. So what's very critical, team, is a quick review of what we did on day 1. So we were talking about, most importantly, how the whole training will be conducted and how you could register. Maybe the link for GoToWebinar also, I'll place it here later. And you have your YouTube channel where most of the videos that are there would be placed. So we were speaking about a lot of things, team. Definitely go back and look at it, how we've gone through installing JDK and then into Eclipse. So once we got Eclipse and Java development kit, we are all ready to start writing our code in the Eclipse platform. So here is another version of a different Eclipse platform or other workspace. Remember, I was telling you yesterday that everything can be broken down into workspaces. So under each workspace, this is workspace, this is another workspace, this is another workspace. I can do multiple projects. So our workspace, we've stored it here as project 1. In this, we have one project right now. So just showing you on a different side, this is another workspace where it has, I think, 2 projects. No, only one project, even this, but much larger source code. So this is what you will start seeing us doing as we keep going along in the SDET training. So learn Java first, then when we come to Selenium, we will do a lot of framework-based approach. So this is for later team. Let's not worry on that. Let's look at Java. So we wrote our first program. Primarily, what was important for us to do? We have not yet mastered as to what is public, class, static, void. All these purple words still for us to understand them. But what we started to know is I need my program name to be the same as the class name. How did we create this team? So first we created a project by saying file, new, Java project. And when I say that, I'll see another project getting created out here under this team. Let's say I say project 2. And I'll say this is to delete. Just a sample that I'm putting. I put everything as default and hit enter. Did not do anything in it. So in here, I can go into expanding it, go into the source folder and create packages and all that under it team. But for now, just create a new class. This I'll say project 2 class 1. And remember, we were talking about adding this main method. Even if I don't add the main method, it will give us the basic class. So here, now I can add. How do we learn how the main method will look? Either by looking at previous codes, comparing, and slowly writing. So we will talk very briefly about today as we go along. One, art of learning coding. So this is a very critical team, and then we'll start into variables in Java. How we can start to learn why they're needed. We'll take some practical examples. So we need to put it in the exact format that is there. Whenever you have a question, look at a good code, or you can always copy that line from a previous one and put that. Now, the additional thing that we will learn today, team, are the differences between a syntax error and what a runtime error is. And sometimes we may not have enough time to explore them. They may go into the next day. How can we create another workspace? Pinky, can we look into that question maybe in 2-3 days? It's very easy. Basically, when we're starting itself, you can say that or I don't want you to create another workspace, but say for example, I go to File and go down here, you'll see the option called Switch Workspace. So I can go to any of my other workspaces that are there. So for example, this is my AnyAUT Excel source. And in the same way, under that, just answering one question that came up, team, and we will continue. See, again, switch workspace. I can click on, if I don't have the recent ones, I can click on other. Let's wait for this other one to come. It's almost switching. A block of code starts with curl bracket, and so these are the topics that we will get to team later. Ends with another curl bracket. So what does that mean, team? In my code here, I'm waiting for the other workspace to open up. There you go. So this is my AnyAUT Excel source workspace. So if I close this, then I can see the projects related to AnyAUT, the application, the product itself that we have, and all the source code to that is in here. Now, this is how we switch a workspace. Let us say I want to create a new workspace. I'm already in a workspace. So I go to File, I switch workspace and say Other. When you say Other, there you can say a new name team. It will create that. So let's say I want, instead of this, AA, AAA, underscore, delete, just a name. Okay, and say launch. So that will get created for us. See, drive. See, this is there. Now a new workspace is created. In that, if I add any source code, it will come there. Make sense? So the most important thing for us is Eclipse has workspaces. In each workspace, you can have multiple what team? Java projects. Each project is by itself something different. Each Java project may have many Java programs or class files. So that is the structure hierarchy: workspace, projects under it, and Java programs. So going back to our code, this is the one we created, so project 2 class 1. So here, look at this team. This is one block start. Okay, I'm going to explain about the blocks in programming in Java as we keep going along, but just get the basic concept for today. If there is a starting opening curl brackets, there must be an ending. Okay, great. I have one ending. Then for the code I wrote here, there's an opening one. Then there should also be an ending one. So I have to go and do that myself. Otherwise, see, it is saying a red line here. And I'll talk about that red line shortly. But let me finish this. Now I wrote a code. So system.out.println. My code starts here. And team, can you all be interactive with me, please? I have a few questions. One question. Why am I writing the same code again? Can you tell me? Welcome. Because I want you to do the same. I want you to try and write small codes as many times as possible. And that is the key way to learn. I'm talking about the art of learning coding. Let's focus on this for a while. Step 1 is to learn to read, just read code. If I can see a code and say what it will do, then that's great. Now tell me, team, will it print my code starts here, my code ends here, and one empty line like this? Yes. Will it print those 3 lines? It'll print my code starts here, my code ends here, and one space between. Now let's run it. See, now we read the code. What did we do? We just read the code. So I'm going to right click on this, and sometimes team just don't just click on run because it may be selecting a different one. So right click on that and say run as Java application. Okay, the green icon that you see is the one. What does it exactly do of compiling and then running our application? We will get into that. But we're using this method to run whatever we do. See, we did not get the empty line. Why? Because I have to put it in. This won't get printed. Neither will any empty lines. So that's too many. So why would I leave so many empty lines, for example? Now, if I run this or the earlier code, the result is exactly the same. Now I know it's running the same code. I have this checkbox. Do you see this, team? It tells me that always save resources before launching. If I check this, this pop-up won't come again to me. This is one more feature of Eclipse that we're learning. So every day we will learn a few things on Eclipse, which is IDE, and a lot of things on the coding. And say, okay. Now see, it's the same exact thing. Unless I specifically say print something as a blank line. Then when we do this run again, now I get a blank line. Okay. So this won't get printed as it is a comment. All right. Now this we created in a different class. Let's close this as is. I'm just minimizing it. I don't have any work with this project. And I can close this file here so that I only have, so whenever I'm closing save it, I only have that old code. So this was my code. Now why would I keep empty lines as a programmer? The reason I would keep it is so that I know, you know what, I just wrote something. I have something more to add here later. So it's just a structure of what it is. The logic will come later. So that's the first step, team. How do you learn to read the code? Now your step 2 is to make small changes to the code. So I have this code and I want to make changes to it. And how do we run it? So this is my program beginning by KK, ending by KK, and I will rerun this. So what did I do? I tried to change my code, which was very simple and easy, and run it. In fact, I saved it. I wanted to save this team. Give me 1 second. This was the old version, right? I'll leave it as is. I'll say save as, file, save as. J0. Now, remember I was talking about these blocks, starting block, ending block. Again, what I'm doing here, only reading the code. And again, one more here, starting block, ending block. Eclipse is doing one more thing, team, for me. It highlights the corresponding ending block. This starting, this is the ending. For now, till we get to functions or loops, don't worry. We need at least these 4, 2 starting, 2 ending. Keep that format. Now comes an issue called syntax error. Syntax error is when Java does not understand what you wrote. It is not in a format or language that it understands. So need to fix the code before you can execute. So what did I do? Now my code has an issue. Where does my code have an issue? This is red underline theme. That's another additional thing that Eclipse brings to us. An integrated development environment also knows before you execute the code if it is correct code or not. And the way it does is by underlining it in red. If I take my mouse over it, it will tell me the solution. I do not want you to use this quick fixes right now, please. I will talk to that about it as we'll go along. Right now, let us realize there is a syntax error on line 1. I'm only trying to change my code. First step of mastering, reading is done. So here, small changes. Now, what am I saying? There is a problem. Remember the other rule I told? Unless your class name and your file name are the same. Be careful. So you see so many restrictions are there in Java. And how do we learn these restrictions? They're not endless. There are specific limitations. We need to understand them. Why is it there also? So those we will come to. That will become easy for us. Okay, I don't want to overweight you on that. So basically, I'm going to change this to that. J02 underscore second row. Now let's say it still has an issue. Do you know why maybe it has an issue? Let's say J02 underscore second program. Why should it have an issue then? Because Java is hyper case sensitive to you. And not just case sensitive, it is sensitive in a lot of ways. Sensitive. So that means Karthik, I use my name. Use AnyAUT and AnyAUT are two absolutely different things. So if you're naming something, make sure you always use that name. It is very strict and it does not want you to make simple these errors team. We have to be absolutely careful. Our Eclipse IDE will guide you, but you need to make sure you slowly keep fixing them with a lot of patience. Now, did you notice this red lines have gone, but I still see a red here and a red here in my project, and project here red, here red, here red. Reason because you might have not saved it. So make sure you save it. Sometimes once you save it, all those reds see disappear. That means no more syntax errors. So syntax error will not let you write or save the code. We are still to come to runtime error. That is, we'll figure it out shortly when we move on. So we made small changes. Next, what we have to do, and this I'll just write it down here, and we can do small code. Step 4, repeat, debug, increase complexity. I think most importantly, don't get frustrated. Easy solutions team available widely. Remember, can you imagine how we had to learn Java in 95, 96, actually 97, I think, 96, 97 time frame onwards, a little bit we were seeing. And then 99, I believe I went for my first Sun certification. I failed by 1%. it was for 75% and I got 74 or 73. I had rough couple of days. I was pretty young, maybe 21, 22, 23 at that time. So I left Java. I went into more managerial leadership roles in IT and I came back luckily to technology. Today we have easy solutions that quick finds like Stack Overflow, all these forums, Google search will tell us. And just do incremental, one after the other. All right. So there's no other way to master program. You do this slowly, one after the other. Okay, so now comes the next option of variables. So we're learning one concept. Every concept that we will learn, let me put this here. Hello. Each and every concept that I introduce, I will repeat and reuse many times in future classes. So even if you're someone who's just listening to the sessions and taking notes, not at all practicing, that is absolutely fine. We will get a lot of knowledge basically. Once you get ready through it to programming, then repeat it. See how it is being done. Okay. This is done. Second program, very basic. Let's talk about third program. So I'm gonna go create, right click new. Either you can click on source or default package. Since this is a default package, it'll come here. Don't worry about packages for now. Simple. Class J03. Why am I using 010203? That way all our code will be there for us to look at. And I'm not going to write this as third program. This is about variables. Now, I will write my own public static void main. I will try and when I say you have to think about it yourself as well. Whatever I do, you will have to do that too. The reason is I will practice typing. My typing skill has to be better. My typing speed should be good. And my typing language in Java should be good. Okay, so finish. So let's talk about basic programming and where the variables concepts comes, and let's apply it into the program. Save this in Java March. What was it talking about? This is Eclipse Workspaces. A little better drawing when you can refer. Because when you're seeing the video, it makes sense, but maybe after the video, it does not. Let me see if I can do better. So what am I saying? Yes, variables. Team, what we are doing is called information technology. Information means data. So what do we mean by data? If you look at some of the first computers that started doing entering data, it could have been for financial or research purpose or military purpose and so on. Right? First internet and so on was more of in the military side where they were doing the research. Data, how can we send from one computer to another? That became a key thing. So then came transfer protocols. How can we transfer information? Now, the whole concept is anytime we're talking about storing information like about a human, for example, I could have their personal data information. I could have maybe their financial records if I'm their banker. I could have certain social information if I am Facebook or so on. And for every human, there is content that is there. And this gets dispersed. And so there is for every object in the world. So to define anything and to store that in a computer as zeros and ones becomes impossible for a human to read every time as bits and bytes. Okay? So instead of doing reading in zeros and ones and so on, we created a good programming languages. Now, here what we're trying to do, if I want to, we're talking about a human, right? So let's say I have a human one. A human one basically has a name that I can give and call, and maybe a phone number that is assigned to he or her. Now look at the smart thing about my phone devices team. Whenever I want to make a call, I'm trying to draw a telephone team. Okay. Whenever I'm trying to make a call to a human, I don't need to remember the phone number. I just need to know the name. If name is there, that is sufficient. So we, in our contact list, how do we store? Every contact has at least, for example, a contact name and a phone number. So that way I can call that user. Now, how can I store this information in my computers? I can store it as zeros and ones, but then programming languages give us a layer of help on it. So now let's talk about applying this. You'll understand. So we're talking about our main method, public static void main. Then we have a string of arguments that may come to us, open blocks, hit enter. The enter automatically creates one more curl bracket. Did you notice that, team? So this was in there, line 6. Line 5, I'm here. I enter a curl bracket after this and hit an enter. That's it, keyboard enter. And it created. Who wrote that for us? I'm asking a question, team. Who created line 6? I did not type it. Where did it come from? Who wrote that part for us? First team. Everyone, put it on the chat. Yes, yes. 2, 3. Java is incorrect, team. Because if it's Java, then we'll have a program that will look very simple, the same program here. Your actual program is where? Let's see. So if I go here, right click on this and say show in System Explorer. I'll keep showing you the same thing about a few times, team. It will become very easy for you to understand. Now see, this is my actual file, the Java program. If I go here, this is not yet saved, and do the same thing, enter something and hit, it will not make this changes. This is coming to us from Eclipse team. Eclipse is giving us that control and support, saying that, you know what, if you don't want to, I'll put it in, if you want, you can delete it. That integrated development environment, SS. Too much talk because still getting there. Now, I'm talking about the start of my program. How do I? So see, this system.out.println is a very long one, right? This is the shortcut team. One shortcut. I'll just show you for this one. Let me do it. I'll for sys control space. Okay, AutoCAD system. So what you need to do is type sys then hit control plus space. Say, okay. Type team. So basically what I'm doing here, see, sys and then control space. the whole thing gets filled up. That's a shortcut to auto get no system keyboard shortcut. I'll not show you any more shortcuts now. I don't even remember most. What else did I do? There was a syntax error. See, on line 3, I missed a semicolon at the end. Every statement has to have a semicolon. Start of my code. That's all I need to mention here. And end of my code. And sometimes, team, there's a lot of things that we're writing within it. Please look into it. Now, team, do you see there's a red underline on this? Since it's a comment, don't worry. I think it's only trying to do English correction, nothing else. Ignore error. So this is not doing anything. So I'm going to delete this. Keep that. Now, what do I want to do? So variables. So you spoke about this. I need to create that within my code. So how do I do that? The first thing you need to do is declare a variable. So, for example, I will say string kk phone, and we'll talk about what this are. Next is called initialize the variable. What I'm saying in this is there is a variable and a type to it. And we'll talk about this very shortly. Let me write this code, please. KK phone equals 314-827-527. And what I can do is use the variable. Where can I use it? For example, I can print it. So control space and then write KK phone number is plus KK phone. Okay. Now, those are the 3 steps. First, declare a variable. Second, initialize a variable. Third, use the variable. So the stages are very simple, team. When you declare a variable, you're saying what type it is. Okay? String is one of the first ones that I'm introducing you to that can hold information. Anything that you put into double quotes is called as a string. Remember that. Next, we will learn about int, which is nothing but positive or negative numbers, no decimals. Then there is float. Then we have boolean. We have double also. But so that we don't confuse, we will stay with string, integer, and float and booleans for a while. I think that's most of what we will use. First, we are learning string. What is that? Now, can anyone tell me why is there an error on line 11? Syntax error. And while we're doing that, also, I'm changing the size of this so I can look at it. See, I have my code correct. Then I have my main method, and this is growing big a little bit. It's missing a semicolon at the end, and that's critical where we don't use the assistance of your Eclipse itself. You take your mouse over, then it tells you the suggestion. But I want you to think for a second or two, maybe 10-15 seconds. Get that? And because when you're thinking, you'll find multiple reasons. Maybe this is not correct. Maybe this is not correct. Maybe minus. Oh, basically there's no semicolon. Is this the reason? There you go. It's solved. So When I say declare a variable, this is what is happening. Initialize the variables is basically saying assign value and then use the variable. Do something with it. So I can print it. What I'm doing here is called append or concatenate plus sign. So it's taking this text and adding this text to it, and it'll print that whole text. How do you know? Basically, now you know as I'm showing you. Okay, and let's rerun this. I get my output. So it's a start of my code. And when I look at this team, I want to look at it detailed, especially when I'm young into my programming days, because I want to make sure everything went the way it is. Start of my code and the last one is end of my code. So I see both of them. And in between, there's only one phone number. And that is AK phone number. I'm sorry. What if I print this 3 times? What would happen? See how my, not creativity, rather the concept that I want to play around with it a little is helping us do this. So KK phone 1, this is 1, 2, 3. What will happen, team? It will print it so many times. Did you notice? Okay. Now, every time I want the value in it, I'm calling it by that KK phone. That's the name. It will get me the value, whatever is there. If I change it here, see 5272 to 5727, I don't have to go and change it in 3 different places. That is one of the first advantages of a variable team. You change it in one place, it changes everywhere. Just like the name stands, a variable, it varies, it can vary. When I rerun it, everywhere it will have the new one. Let's relook at this once more with a different simple one. This is 4 variables. Actually, there'll be a lot of variables thinking. We go one by one. We will have a good size amount of size of code in this. Okay. Now, public static void main string open square and square space args open curl and curl comes automatically. I have this thing created. Now here, so start getting a little bit more. I want another variable. So what are the steps? Declare. So I can say x equals hello. All right. See, I didn't declare. See, that is initialization. I'll just string x, and then I put value into x. And use so x is plus x. So far, good team. Everything looks simple. You all can do what I'm doing, right? Any, I mean, not questions, but any confidence issues on this? In how many lines am I doing this? In 3 lines. Declaring it, putting a value to it, and using it. Now, I cannot have the same name again, team. So it's like this. If let us say if you have even your phone won't let you store another contact with the same name. It is a change the last name or something, right? Like you go to Google Gmail and say I want to create a new account. If it already exists, you cannot. There cannot be 2 email IDs with the same @gmail.com. Same thing as a logic, you cannot have two variables with the same. So what can I do? I will change it to 1. But here, what I'm going to do is y, hello, this is y, a little smart. So now y is smarter because it is able to do all this in 2 lines. So as you see, team, there are few things that we will notice and which will build on us as we keep going. What is important here is x has a value that is we're using, then y also is created and we're using that value. So now let's run this program and I know what I'm expecting. Is this correct, team? What we expected? And always look at that. What am I writing? What am I getting? Is it correct? Is it incorrect? If it's incorrect, why? See, it ran, it gave me the result, but then I need to go and see if it gave me what I wanted it to. Okay. If it did not give me that, then I need to go back and see. So what is it saying? X is hello, how do you do? Is that correct? And I'm printing X. Now, Y is hello, this is Y, a little smarter. I'm printing Y. So what's the issue? So, and that's where maybe you should see where is this statement coming. My problem is here. Y is hello, how do you do? So let me only focus on that line. Where is that coming? Line 12. Y is, oh, this should be Y. So that is important to slow down when there's an issue and find out how we could, what is causing it and fixing it. So debugging is important. Need to slow down and think line by line. So hence that is why we write code in increments, team. I will not write a code for 3 months and then run it. So what do programmers do? They'll write code for half an hour, 15-20 minutes and run. Write code for an hour, run. Write code for sometimes even 30 seconds and run. That is the power of it. We can run it without any effort. That's okay, where are we? Why is why? So here what I will do, instead of deleting that, I'll put this as an error fixed below. See what I'm doing? So that when a new programmer sees or anyone else using the code knows that, oh, I made a change and we changed it here. Okay, good. It helps us. So some comments and how we do this. Now I got something that is better. Now that's type string. So what are the difference between a string and something that holds a number? Now what am I trying to do here, team? Show a different one. String equals again. Simple example. Is this correct? As a string a S1. How about S1 as a name? Now if I print S1, you may ask me, team, what is this line that is coming under S1? See, you see a line? Everyone? If I save this, there is no problem. That line won't go. It's a warning, team. A syntax error code warnings won't stop you, but may affect performance. Recommended. So what I mean to say is, in here, what did we do? We declared it, we initialized it. Where did we use it? It is like putting a contact number in your phone, you'll never use it, at least in the life of that program. So there's no point in it. So once I say so, S1, then it goes away. Okay. Now let's run this code. What did I get, team? I got S1. Can you tell me the difference? And this should make your clarity very easy. The difference between line 4 and line 5. Prints anything in double, doesn't care what is inside and all that, does not matter. Here, without quotes means has something in it, else it will be a syntax error. So then it will print the content. So S1 is the name of the variable. To call a variable, call it by the name. Don't use the double quotes. And let's rerun. Control F11. That's your shortcut for run. You don't have to always use your mouse. So I'm going to Control F11 and then. So that's my S1. Now let's talk about something interesting to do with integers. As I told you, team, integers, positive or negative, no decimals. That's the rule of an integer. So if I say in I1 equals 100, and then I will say print I1. Save it. There is an issue. Hey, what? I'm initialized and I'm printing. Why is there an issue? I cannot do this. Why? Because in I1, if it has to be an integer, there should be no quotes. Once you put anything in quotes, becomes a string. Anything inside quotes, double quotes, becomes a string. So it will not be an integer anymore. Now let's run Control F11. So there I hold the value. So similarly, I'll create two variables, int x, comma y. See, I did that in the same line. Two variables declare on the same line. Why? Because I may need that. So I'll say x equals 10, y equals 20. Now I can start doing programming. I need another variable in z. What will z be? Z equals x plus y. And I want to print, so z is plus z. Okay. So see those lines, red lines, orange lines coming and going as I keep typing the code, team. The reason is it is giving me advice. It is giving me suggestion as to, hey, maybe you're doing something different. Observe this code once again. Forget this part. We're talking about this from line 13 to line 19. Okay. First is declaring two variables, x, comma y. Both have to be integers. Now, if I try and put this into double quotes, it won't like it. If I try and add decimals to it, it won't like it. It has to be the way it is. Now, z is another integer, only declared, but value gets calculated here. And then the value you can use and print. So let's run this. So z is 30. Is that correct? Great. Now I want to do maybe what do I say? A subtraction. Okay. So let me remove all this additional comments, which is there already for us. Now, what is the issue, team? The issue is cannot declare a variable 2 times, more than once. If I say 2 times, then they'll say, okay, I'll declare it 1 time or I'll declare it 3 times. That's allowed. So programming requires us to be extremely specific. It does not give us any leeway to do anything else. Now, int z. Z is declared once, I can't you declare. But you can always do what? Change as it is an integer or is as a variable. So now I'm saying z is x minus y. Let's run this. I want you to tell me what I'm expecting, team. Z is, what will I expect at the end? The answer? Z is 30 for x plus y. Then what will I get for z? And it will get overwritten, team. Change override. X minus y. That is where we have to apply the math. And I've not got a single correct answer so far. Little disappointed. What will be the last print statement? Not a single correct answer. Okay, there we go. What will be the z value at the end? Z is 30 already, it's printing. Incorrect, 0 incorrect, 20 incorrect, 10 incorrect. Come on, team. Okay, now I'm getting some. That's right. Minus 10. Why? The value 10. Focus, team. Whenever you have a question, slow down. Like I said, 10 goes here, 20 goes here. So what is it? 10 minus 20. It is not 10. Where will so 10 minus 20 is minus 10. So when you print it here, z is minus 10. That is what we're expecting to see. I have a Python class. There we go. And I want you to always try and run the program in your mind before. Run it in the mind before using Java. So when you look at a Java code, try and run it in your mind. I think that we're good for today. I want to look at it next tomorrow. Now see, I want to do one more thing. So I'll say z equals, now everything is the same. I'll just make the same and change something. X divided by y. And now let's run. Now, if I say x is 0, rather y is 0, changing the value and rerun. Now is when you'll get something called as a runtime error, when it does not go beyond and come to the end of my code. So each time I run, it will fail on a specific line, and the line that it is failing is, if I click here, see J05 variables int, that's my program name.java, and :25 means that line. Click on it, I should be able to go. The problem is when I divide by 0, that becomes an issue. All right, team, that's it for today. I have a Python session also after this. I will see you all tomorrow. Please look at this video also in YouTube and practice till here. Show me what you have done in tomorrow's session, and if you have any issues, we'll look into it. But we are a learning team. We're gonna increase our space every day. Thank you all. Bye for now. Take care. Understood.